It's time for video games here on GGSP. Coming up on the show, we go toe-to-toe with a cast of kooky characters in the rough and tumble fantasy strike. Plus, can a video game give you the feel of a bushwalk? I find out.
And of course, we've got gaming news and we'll answer your questions at the Ask SP desk.
You know my favorite thing about fighting games? Projectiles. Hadouken! Sorry. I didn't do that. Fighting games have come a long way, from simple 2D fisticuffs to the epic 3D brawlers we know and love today. But one thing they all have in common is bringing us together to ultimately see who's better at bashing buttons.
Yes, if you've ever been the unfortunate player 2 to an experienced fighter, you know this technique all too well. But there's a new contender entering the ring, and this one seems determined to end the button-mashing madness, and its name, Fantasy Strike.
Is this how we fight?
Maybe.
Cool. Fantasy Strike was developed by an ex-Street Fighter dev, and on the surface, it looks like just another fighting game. But what sets it apart is that its moves are confined to single-button presses. This helps pull the focus away from stringing together complicated attacks and more towards reading your opponent and launching precise movements.
Fantasy Strike calls itself a strategic fighting game for everyone. There's your standard selection of character classes. Rushdowns that overpower other characters with their attacks, zoners who hit you at a distance, and the wildcards who are...
It's my turn.
Well, they're a little bit all over the place. You'll grow to have favorites as you get comfortable with each of them.
Me personally, I'm mainly the guy who can turn into a dragon. In a scuffle, you've got your standard attack, special attacks, and super moves, which can only be performed once you've charged your meter. These can all be changed up depending on what angle you're pointing your character at, or if you're trying to do a combo. But that's about as tough as it gets from a technical standpoint.
And because there's no crouching, you don't have to worry about sporadically blocking hits from all directions. You just have to pull back at the right time, which is still a challenge in itself. There's also the ability to throw your opponent. To counter this, you must use one of Fantasy Strike's unique features, the Yomi counter.
Perfect.
This was by far the most challenging move for me because it's all about releasing control, quite literally. If you spot the grapple coming, you have to stop moving, and your character will automatically launch into a flashy counter move that can seriously turn the tide of a fight. Not that I needed any help, of course, because I was just so good at this right off the bat.
Oh yeah, no, me too, obviously.
You lose.
Yeah, I definitely went into this game with this idea that a more simplistic control scheme would mean the fights would be easier. And I was very, very wrong. The focus on precision, coupled with the small health bar, means that just as a well-timed maneuver can save you from certain doom, a misplaced one can put you right back in the frying pan. I will say, though, I don't love the way they've chosen to label their controls. Instead of saying an attack is triggered by the name of the button on your controller, so for us on the Switch, it would be Y, X, A, B, plus the left and right bumper, they've opted for a universal code across all platforms. Y is A, X is B, A is C, B is J, and the triggers are S and T. It just made things unnecessarily complicated.
Yeah, but you do get used to it after a while, and that's actually one of my favorite things about Fantasy Strike. You're constantly learning and adapting.
On that we can agree. Look, despite my issues with the controls, it's probably the most fun I've had learning in a fighting game because it feels manageable, you know? You're not trying to memorize 1,000 different moves, you're just trying to master a handful. And there's plenty of resources available in-game, with each character having a rundown of their movements, as well as in-depth tutorials narrated by the developer.
Setsuki is a rushdown character. She has only 5 hit points, tied for least in the game, but she makes up for it with her ability to overwhelm the opponent with speed and tricks.
There are also heaps of opportunities to do some practical testing to see which character class suits you. Some of the modes included in the single-player campaign include the arcade, where you can go toe-to-toe for 6 rounds with a series of AI opponents. Survival, where you go up against steadily more powerful foes in quick succession. And Boss Rush. Here, for each round you win, you gain a power-up, which you keep adding to until you're defeated.
And if that's not enough for you, you can also dish out some damage in the online mode if you think you've got what it takes. Speaking of which, we should probably knock out some final scores, hey Will?
Well, whether you're a veteran fighter or a fresh-faced newcomer, Fantasy Strike has something for everyone. Its snappy response times, weighty hits, and dedication to teaching players a new way to approach an old genre make it not only a fun game, but a learning experience to boot. I'm giving it 4 out of 5 rubber chickens.
Despite my gripes with the controls, Fantasy Strike does a good job of not only teaching you to flex your thumbs, but also your mind as you outthink and outmaneuver your opponents. And I really enjoyed myself once I got into the swing of things. So I'm giving it 3.5 out of 5 rubber chickens. Did you get it? The swing of things?
Yeah, because you swing when you go to, yeah, you swing.
Good morning, Australia. It's time for the scoop with me, Darren. And here with me today is the wonderful Rad.
Oh, thanks, Darren. Hi, everyone.
Now, without further ado, it's time for Darren's challenge. What was the original name proposed for Crash Bandicoot?
Mr. Video? Oh, no, wait, that was Mario. Oh, I'll have to have a think about that one.
Keep those brain cogs turning. Now, let's have a Darren's dialogue box, shall we? This week, we talk loot boxes. Starting with the news that loot boxes as we know them will be leaving Rocket League. Rather than randomized crates of items that are typically unknown until the moment of purchase, a new system will let players know exactly what they'll be getting beforehand.
Perhaps a good move, considering the heat that loot boxes have been coming under lately. I hear that Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo will soon require publishers on their platforms to disclose the drop rates of any loot boxes in their games, too.
Affirmative. Always nice to know what that hard-earned cash is going to get you. Moving on, and I just realized we haven't yet talked about the latest trailer for Pokemon Sword and Shield. The recent trailer showed off some more Galarian forms, as well as new rival trainers and the pretty punk-looking Team Yell.
Oh, I sure like the look of those new Pokemon, especially Morpeko. When it's really hungry, its appearance and type changes as it enters Hangry mode. Oh, so relatable. Boatmeal knows what I'm talking about, don't you, Boatmeal?
Oh, we've all been there. You wouldn't like me when I'm hungry. To some Minecraft news now, and the Super Duper Graphics Pack DLC has officially been cancelled. Announced way back in 2017, the optional pack aimed to bring new textures, lighting features, and visual effects. But sadly, the developers feel that it's just going to be too technically demanding to implement properly after all.
That's a bit disappointing, but I guess it's best that they scrap it rather than risk it being less than super duper.
Affirmative. Now to another slice of gaming news pie and the announcement that Bandai Namco Entertainment is opening a mobile game studio. Known for publishing games like Dragon Ball FighterZ, Bandai Namco Mobile is set to open in 2020 in Spain.
Could this mean more Dragon Ball games for mobile?
We'll have to wait and see. Now, Rad, do you have an extra scoop for us today?
I certainly do, Darren. There are heaps of cool Super Mario Maker 2 levels out there, but an awesome one that's been doing the rounds lately is the Cluttered Chaos Calculator 2 by HelgaFan. Players choose 2 numbers and whether to add or subtract them, and are then taken on a journey of calculation, all the way to the answer to the original formula.
Very impressive. HelgaFan made a similar creation in the first Super Mario Maker, but this effort is bigger and better. Are we sure they aren't a robot? Now for the answer to Darren's challenge. Crash Bandicoot was originally referred to as Willy the Wombat.
Wow! Well, Crash seems like a much more appropriate name, though, considering all the crate breaking.
Affirmative. And that's all for this week. Until next time we scoop, good night, Australia.
Oh, can you imagine if the Crash Bandicoot games were actually Willy the Wombat games?
Did you know that wombat excrement is actually cubic?
favorite pastimes is hiking. I can't think of a better way to spend a weekend than getting out in the bush, climbing a few rocks, and just taking in the amazing landscape that Australia has to offer. It feels good to get off the grid, but I know not everyone feels that way, and being without mobile reception can sound like a bit of a nightmare. Now, I'm playing a game about someone just like that, a bird named Claire in a game called A Short Hike. Made by one person, Adam Robson Yu, A Short Hike is a sweet little exploration game. You play as Claire, a young bird who has been brought to a cabin in the middle of nature for a holiday with her aunt. You quickly get the impression that Claire is a little depressed and not terribly excited about getting away from civilization. She wants to use her mobile phone, but there's no reception anywhere other than the very top of Hawke Peak, which is pretty much the tallest mountain around. Thus, you embark on the titular short hike. To get to the top, you'll need to collect golden feathers, which allow you to climb and fly. The more you have, the further you can go. This encourages you to go exploring around the mountain, where you'll meet all sorts of characters. Some of them can sell you feathers, while others just have a bit of a yarn and include you in wholesome holiday activities, including my favorite, fishing. There's no explicit point to these interactions. You can't do anything with the fish that you catch. It's just there to be pleasant, which really confused me at first. I'm so used to everything in a game having purpose that these superfluous moments actually felt a little bit frustrating. So I pressed on up the mountain. I found the coins I needed to buy feathers, and I plotted the fastest path to the top. I was a woman on a mission, because getting to the top of Hawke Peak was the point of the game, right? Along the way, I found walking a bit tricky. The camera perspective means you're mostly walking at diagonals, which isn't smooth. This isn't helped by the graphics either, which are pixelated to the point that it becomes imprecise. It's pretty easy to fall off, but that just means you can spread your wings and glide. And I gotta say, that feeling of flying, it's pretty glorious. The game captures subtle pleasures and peppers them throughout. For example, dipping into a hot spring to warm my frozen feathers was not only a clever gameplay mechanic, but it made me feel comforted and refreshed. Now, I'm going to get a bit spoilery and talk about the end of the game, because to me, it's important to explain why I connected to it. You see, I was so focused on getting to the end and reaching my goal that I almost ignored everything else that was happening. But those things are the point of the game. A Short Hike is a game about slowing down and smelling the roses, and it shares that message in a subtle, charming, and warm way. It's not the expected, nature is better than technology narrative. It's about connecting with the world right in front of you. The game itself is quite short, coming in at maybe 1 to 2 hours long. But it's impressive that the developer has managed to craft a number of different feelings and ideas into such a short time. I appreciated that the game challenged me. I'm giving A Short Hike 4.5 out of 5 rubber chickens. Now for the hike home.
All right, Will, let us check out some of the thought-provoking gaming questions our GGS peeps have sent to us in our inbox.
Yes, let us. And first up is a video question from Ryan, who says he's our biggest fan.
Aw.
Hello, GGSP. I'm your biggest fan. I have a few questions. Number 1, have you reviewed the Lego Movie video game? If not, please do. Number 2, have you reviewed Ratchet and Clank? If not, please do. And my final question, what's the best PS4 game? Also, what's Darren's favorite food? Also, PC, if you don't answer, I will delete your video game history and delete everyone's video games in the world.
Thanks, Ryan. Oh, we better get you some answers to avoid widespread game deletion. That's worse than the apocalypse.
Yeah, no kidding. In answer to your first question, well, yes, both the Lego Movie video game and Ratchet & Clank were reviewed on the show back when they were released. Both of these you can check out in our online archive. And we reviewed the Lego Movie 2 video game earlier this year as well.
As for the best PS4 game, well, I don't think there's just one game that can objectively be the best. And there are lots of great PS4 games across multiple platforms, like Rocket League, Rayman Legends, Minecraft, a whole bunch of Lego games, Crash Bandicoot, Insane Trilogy, I could go on.
But if we did narrow it down to some great games that are PS4 exclusives, I'd say Ratchet & Clank, which you mentioned before, is a great one, and Little Big Planet 3. And I would have said maybe Tetris Effect or Journey, but they're both on PC now as well. And as of recently, Journey is now on iOS.
Cool, now to the question of Darren's favourite food. I think Darren has mentioned before that he doesn't actually need to eat food like humans do, though he does like to cook.
And did you know he loves cooking shows? He's actually been trying to get his own cooking show off the ground for years. I even saw him in the studio. He seemed to be filming some kind of web series pilot.
And then just add some tomato sauce, some poning pepper, and voila! A delicious nutrient array for your next LAN party. Join me next time for another episode of Darren's Gourmet Gamer. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Oh, well, good luck to him, I guess. Moving on to a question from Hello?
Oh, Will, hello, it's Darren. I just received a notification that someone has accessed some of my footage.
Oh, really? What kind of footage?
Something of a culinary nature.
Oh, you mean Darren's Gourmet Gamer.
What? Affirmative. What did you think?
Yeah, no, it's good, Darren. You know, chase the food dream.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad you liked it. I'm going to research some more recipes now. Bye-bye.
Oh, okay, bye, Darren. Well, we better get back to that question from Yeet. Hi, GGSP. What are your thoughts about the national dex being taken out of Pokemon Sword and Shield? For me, I really don't care because there is still so many things to do in Sword and Shield.
Thanks, Yeet. First up, Will, could you remind us all what this national dex being taken out of Pokemon Sword and Shield Hullabaloo is all about?
Well, the National Pokedex, or National Dex, is a catalogue of all Pokemon regardless of their region. What Yeet is referring to is the news from earlier this year that not all Pokemon will appear in the upcoming Pokemon Sword and Shield, so some Pokemon fans were understandably a bit disappointed.
That's fair enough. You do grow attached to your favourite Pokemon.
That's true. But hey, maybe it's a good opportunity to try out other Pokemon rather than always sticking to your comfort zone. And the developers have said that having so many options can make it difficult to balance battles, which I think is a pretty good point.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm actually interested to see what the new Pokemon are like Wooloo. Aw. But moving on now to some questions from Queen of Dragons. Hi GGSP, this is the Queen of Dragons speaking. I have 2 questions for you to answer. 1, is there dragon games on Xbox 360? 2, what is your favourite character in Spyro? If you do not answer these questions, I will send my dragons to take over GGSP and turn you all into dragons. But no hard feelings.
Thanks, Queen of Dragons. To the question of whether there are dragon games on Xbox 360, well, you've got How to Train Your Dragon 1 and 2, Blue Dragon, The Legend of Spyro Dawn of the Dragon. So yeah, there are some dragon games on Xbox 360.
As for our favourite character in Spyro, I'd say probably my favourite character from the Spyro the Dragon series is probably the Purple Prince Spyro himself. Did you know he's voiced by Elijah Wood, aka the actor who played Frodo Baggins?
I did, it's pretty cool, but my favourite is probably Bentley the Yeti. He's got quite the vocabulary for a Yeti, or maybe Sheila the Kangaroo. I like playing as her, she's so helpful, and it's cool to have a nod to an Australian animal, don't you think?
Oh yeah, mate, too right.
Oh, well, I think that might be all the time we have for Ask SP today. If you have a question for us, head on over here to send it in.
And remember, if it's a video question that we use on the show, you will score some lovely GGSP goodies, like a pin and stickers and a hoodie. Oh my.
So Jem, I know Queen of Dragons said there would be no hard feelings, but I think I might have some pretty hard feelings about being turned into a dragon.
Why? Dragons are awesome. You can fly and shoot fire out of your mouth. You know, we probably shouldn't have answered Queen of Dragons questions, actually.
Well, it's a bit late now, isn't it?
I'm never gonna be a dragon. Nothing.
Well, we are all have time for this week, but coming up next week on GGSP, buckle up for some spaceship dogfighting as we review Subdivision Infinity DX.
Oh, space! Lasers! Pew, pew, pew!
All right, calm down, Darren. Now, if you want to watch some more GGSP right now, jump online and look for my Let's Play of the punishing platformer Super Hyperactive Ninja.
And don't forget, we live stream online every Friday at 4 p.m. So come join us. Until next time, Gem out.
Rat out.
Will out.
Darren out.